What's up, guys? Today I'm with Dakota and we're going to put together a full masterclass on how to create the right content for your social media that actually gets clients. A lot of you guys are probably creating content that's getting no views, no engagement, or it's getting views, but it's not getting you clients. So by the end of this masterclass, Dakota, who will do a lot of the teaching, is going to show us exactly what you need to do. So my first question to you is, where do you see people get this totally wrong when they try to create a brand and content to build their business?
I think the number one thing is that they're seeing what everyone else is doing and they're copying them. And if you're doing that, then you're just going to blend in. And so you need to find what makes you unique, what makes you different, and lean into that. So each person has a unique story, they have a unique personality, they have a unique way of presenting information. And so those are the things you need to find. And even if you think you don't have those, I guarantee you do. It's just a matter of asking yourself the right questions and figuring out what works over time. Because you see it all the time, like people will have a piece of content pop and then other people will see that, they'll copy the same thing, and you're just a carbon copy. You'll never be more than whoever that person is. So if you look at Iman Gadzhi, everyone's like trying to copy him, or Alex Hormozy, and then you just look like the Walmart dollar store version of that, which you don't want, right? It's you're not building a brand, you're just a knockoff brand. So you want to figure out the unique things that make you unique and lean into that.
You can see that, all right, because when you look at the guys who are copying them, it's like there's just something off.
Yeah.
It's just something that's off. And I guess like that's a lack of personality. Would you put that down to maybe like almost insecurity, right? Because when you're starting online,
Yeah.
it's like one, you don't really have much of an opinion on things, but then if you do have an opinion on things, you're almost scared to share it in case that is something different than other people's opinion.
Yeah, and that's like a big thing too. It's like the vulnerability aspect. People are scared to be vulnerable or actually show who they are because, if people judge them, then it's like, oh, they take it very seriously and they take it as a hit on their who they are as a person. And so it's safer just to parrot the opinions that other people have and then just lean into that. But that's really what makes you forgettable or, again, seem like a carbon copy. And
Yeah, man.
not good.
I think it was funny was like that's what I always recognize you for is like the unique stories that you have.
Mm.
And that was like the first time that I ever like recognized your content was it was like the pineapple pizza thing in this
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
that's like something that is a simple example of like how you just stood out with like a bunch of people that are all trying to do the same thing, all trying to say the same thing, but you just had some like weird, quirky weirdness on the side.
Yeah. Yeah.
How did you kind of like get that almost like planning in place to put your content out there in such a way that it's going to be like kind of bold, but it's also going to be aligned to like what you want to do from your business perspective?
I think so initially it wasn't planned. It was just, I was just kind of being me and just making dumb jokes and just kind of wearing my heart on my sleeve. And then I noticed things that would pop off or people resonated with. And I'm like, oh, there's something there. And I'd lean into it. So the pineapple pizza thing, I just made a joke half-assed like one day. And then people, they were kind of polarized in the comments like, oh, I hate it or I love it. And I was like, oh, there's something there. I'm going to make this an inside joke. So when I make listicles, it's very serious and they'll have like pineapple pizza in the middle of it. It's kind of like a dumb Easter egg.
Yeah.
And it's like, it becomes an inside joke. And so you'll find things as you create content that's true to you or authentic to you, that there'll be times where things pop off. And it's like, oh, that's a signal from people that you need to lean into that. So like me, for example, I used a term called like become a Jack nerd, and a lot of people resonated with that. And I was like, oh, there's something there. This is like this identity, you're Jack, but you're also a nerd. And I would use that in my content a lot. And then people use that to identify with me.
Yeah. Isn't it all identity at the end of the day? Because it's about like you work with people that you align your interest to as well. Like I had this story, this example of my videographer, the person that I hired, he's a dog person just like me. And the reason why I hired him is because we had an interest in dogs together. I knew he was like good. I didn't even look at his work. And I was like, okay, he's going to be competent. But we had this like shared interest that I knew I could sit down and have a conversation with this guy.
Yeah.
Turns out he was great. And I was like, that's like a happy secondary effect, because what people buy is the person, not really like the product a lot of times.
Yeah, it's like human trafficking. They buy the person.
He's got like 10 slaves in the back trying to work.
But no, and exactly. That's the number one thing I notice when I onboard people is they always comment, "Oh, I resonated with your story," or "I really like your personality." Like one guy recently I onboarded, he said he was looking at between me and a competitor, and he chose me because he saw on my sales page me shooting a rocket launcher in Cambodia. He's like, "Oh, I went to Cambodia and did that. Like, I resonate with this guy." And so just like something dumb like that can lead to clients. And I know it's true for me, but also the people I've helped, they talk about their story, and that's gotten them clients just based on that.
One thing that we do with all of our clients is get them to make an origin story video. So just like their first YouTube video is just specifically showcasing who they are, what they believe in, what their mechanism is. The majority of people that buy their products and services come from that video. Because again, it's not to do with the mechanism. Like to be honest, these days everyone has the same fucking offers anyway. So it's like the offers is one thing, but the story is most important than anything else. So my question for you on that is like, how do you design that? Like, what framework do you have to kind of build out that identity, that brand identity?
Yeah, so I do something called a creative brief and show it to Nick Verge. He showed me what this was, but basically it's a document and it has information on your target audience and you do a research on it, whatever. I kind of expanded upon that. And so I made a creative brief on my brand, my target audience, and then my offer. So when it came to my brand, there's a few elements that I include. So one is I call it my bullet point backstory. So what that is basically I have a bank of questions. And so, all right, here I'm gonna say like, what happened ages between 5 and 10? So like, what are the significant events that happened between the ages 5 and 10? So my priest, no, I'm kidding, okay? But it's like here, I'd put bullet points. I'm not going to write a whole essay, but I basically say like, maybe your dad left you, or maybe you got into jujitsu and it taught you a lot about discipline, or maybe you took a camping trip with your scoutmaster and he took you off to the side. I don't know, but like that would be one question. Or like, what were the significant events during high school? Maybe you were like the shy kid and you came out of your shell. What were the significant events that happened in college? Or what were your biggest wins in life? What were your biggest failures? What biggest I guess mindset shifts? And basically you're looking at these questions and this just prompts you like, okay, what were those significant moments? And you just type in bullet points, like what those were, and you just go ham for like an hour. And you're gonna have all these different stories. And I can show you mine later if you want, or now, or whenever. But basically, I'm just getting a ton of these different stories. And then when I go to ChatGPT or whatever AI later, it's going to have context on who I am, and it's going to help me generate even more ideas based on how I prompt it. But this just gives me a good understanding of the different things that have shaped me. And then, so let's say I was in jujitsu, like what were the lessons I learned in jujitsu that applied to business? And so you're not just creating content like, here's 3 business tips, but it's like, you can tell stories about, here's what jujitsu taught me about running a sales team or whatever. And then you have this unique angle where you're educating them, but you're also showing who you are and you're getting people to connect with you.
Because if you think about all the content that's on LinkedIn, Instagram right now, especially any written text platform, it's just straight regurgitated from ChatGPT.
100%.
Like how to do X, Y, Z, like how to build a team or how to write viral posts. Like they post on how to make viral posts that are written by AI.
Yeah.
So because of that, if you just take a step back and just actually write content that's specific to your experiences, because that's what you're not going to be able to get from AI. They're not going to be able to tell you what your experiences are. You're going to have to fucking come up with them yourself,
Exactly. It's really what separates you. So you can see my creative brief here. So I have the brand section. So here for the bullet point backstories, I'm talking about my highest value is freedom. I want freedom over my time, location, finances. My purpose is to help others do the same. My older brother has cystic fibrosis. Blah, blah, blah. My father chose smoking crack over raising his kids. Like all these different things. And so I can look at this, and if I ever need to generate ideas or think about content that will connect with people, it's going, I have this whole bank. And then as well, what I like to do is look at, list out my favorite personal brands and what are my favorite qualities from those people. So that allows me to not copy them, but think about, okay, I really like how Alex Becker has his, autistic humor. And I like how Grant Lannon, he tells really relatable stories and breaks limiting beliefs. How can I incorporate those two elements together in my own brand? It just gets me thinking. Like if you identify what you like in other people, it makes it really clear, like, okay, this is probably something I should also do in my brand as well. And it doesn't mean you copy them, but you can take certain elements, and then when you mix stuff together, it's like little ingredients, you create your own recipe.
Yeah, 100%.
So that's also one. And then I have the values. So I think it's really important for you as a person to identify what are your top 3 to 5 values, whether it's in business or whether it's personal, and just get clear on that, because your content should be a reflection of your values and what you stand for. Because at the end of the day, if you don't stand for anything, it's like, what's your brand built upon?
I love how yours says benevolent degrees.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I'm not gonna bullshit. Like, I'm not Mother Teresa here. I'm not a charity. I want to make money, but I want to make money in a way that makes other people money. It's ethical. Because there's a lot of this bullshit where people are like, oh, I just do it because I love it, and then they sell like a $5,000 mastermind or something. It's like, okay, bro, like chill out.
And that's a good point, right? Because you don't need to be this like overly altruistic person, right? And this is where a lot of the personal development people fall down.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh, no, I'm doing it to help other people. It's like, yeah, you're doing it to help other people, but you still need to get paid, right? That's why like the Red Cross still has like people that make a salary because they're in fucking Africa all year, right?
Yeah.
Like there has to be, and that's part of like being okay with the business that you're running. And that's part of your values.
Yeah.
Which is the reason why someone like, I don't know, like the biggest speakers in the world who do help people, they're able to also make money, make a ton of money.
Yeah.
So it's good that you're clear on that, right?
Yeah.
It's exceptionally clear on that.
And then it attracts the right type of people, right? If you're just saying, oh, I just do this.
They can smell it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You can just spot it straight away.
Yep. And then as well, I like to talk about, or I like to get clear on what are my polarizing messages or polarizing takes. So me, like, pineapple belongs on pizza is one, but don't try to be happy, be useful, or you are not the niche, or you are the niche is bad advice. And I kind of like talk about that.
That's like your best pitch.
Yeah. I love Danco. I just disagree. Maybe I don't understand it. Don't work with broke clients. So these are all like semi-polarizing things, or more polarizing. And what that does is basically filters out who you want to work with and who you don't want to work with. Because if you're just neutral in the middle, you're not going to stand out. And I'm not saying be polarizing for the sake of being polarizing, but don't be afraid to beat your war drum and tell people what you actually stand for and what you stand against. Because if you look at a lot of the biggest personal brands, like Donald Trump, for example, he was able to amass such a big following and such a decisive win because he got people to rally against a common enemy, and he had a polarizing message, and people loved him or hated him, but there was no like in the middle. And I think it's a lot easier for people to rally against stuff that like their common enemy. So for example, he was talking about like building the wall, or the immigration stuff, or drain the swamp, fake news. He had all these enemies.
Russia, China.
Yeah, exactly. China, we're getting screwed. But it worked really well in his favor, and that brings me to the enemies section. So like, what are the things within your industry that you stand against? So maybe let's say you're in the coaching industry. It's like you hate the Rolex and Dubai bros that are flexing Lamborghinis and all this BS. Like, how can you call those people out And by doing so, you're showing what you stand for and what you stand against, and people can relate to that. Like, oh yes, I hate the dumb Rolex flashy bullshit. You know, I'm more into the freedom stuff, and I identify with this person. So like getting clear on what you stand against is a big thing. I have some funny ones like content cucks or NPCs.
What's content cooks?
Like basically people who just sacrifice their authenticity and their self-respect for algorithm likes, all that stuff, and they're just carbon copies basically.
What's important here is that you can still have that message without being like a dickhead.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to be an asshole when you're saying that. So I'll give you a simple example for us. Like we're against, like our enemy is the people that do like sell by chat and are like, the guys are like, oh, you can have a freedom life and do absolutely nothing and still make like 100K or more and do absolutely nothing. Like we're actually kind of against that because we've shown so much other people that try that usually come to us afterwards. So it's like we're like a safe haven for it, the antithesis of it. Now I don't oust those people, but it's just very clear that it's like, okay, look, you've tried that, great, that doesn't work, okay, let's do this instead. And it's like they're just small things. And I think that's the reason why it's like when people hear this, they're like, oh, but I don't want to piss people off. You don't need to. You just need to have a brand so that people know, okay, I'm going to go to Dakota to learn this in that way. It's a big distinction, right?
Yeah. I like to, one thing when I do stuff like this, I like to make clear you're not calling out like specific people. You're calling out like archetypes of people or common practices or false beliefs, like stuff like that. I wouldn't ever want to like call out someone specifically.
Have you read Reality Transurfing?
No, I started listening to like the first part, but I never got
You
all the way.
read a smaller book.
Yeah.
Don't even read it, just listen to it. But a big part of this is this groupthink, right? Like what's a general consensus happening like in the ether, like in the world? Are they thinking like this? Like the 9-to-5 traditional education system? You identify that a lot of that belief system is based on volume of people. There's a volume, it's like a huge volume game of it. And then you get this decision, it comes down to this decision which is like, okay, I as an individual, what do I want to do with this information? Do I want to be consumed by it, which is going into it? Do I want to be hateful towards it? Or do I want to acknowledge it and then just do something else? And like the latter is what you're meant to do.
Yeah.
It's like identify that, okay, you know, for me, it could be like the guys are trying to push like sell by chat. It's like, okay, that's a thing. People are doing it. A lot of people will not be successful with it. What can I do with it? I can just focus on my own business over here, teach them what we teach them, which is the opposite of that. So I think it's interesting, right? It's like you can get really caught up in this shit, and that's where it goes back to it's not a person, it's a group. It's not an individual. It's actually a collection of thoughts that have given this, energy. That's what it is. It's giving an energy, and now it's time to stop giving an energy, basically, with your brand.
That's actually a good way of putting it. Yeah, it's a collection of mindsets and energies.
Because basically it keeps up, it picks up speed, right?
Yeah.
So it rapidly increases, and because it rapidly increases, that's actually ironic because that's actually part of the groupthink is let's give it more energy. So if you're even thinking about it negatively, it's like, okay, let's look the other way and do something different.
Yeah, I like that.
So tell me about how to actualize this. So you have a lot of the frameworks built already, so you know what your brand actually looks like. How do you bring that into online to build your brand? And the question for you here is like, do you do this before you build your offer, or do you build your offer before you do this?
I mean, depends where you're at. I mean, some people will be more advanced and they already have an offer and they just need to do this, or vice versa. I think your offer is kind of like a reflection of your brand. So I would start with your brand, especially because it's easier to just throw together. You can do this within a few hours, and it's not just some static document. You just create this over time and edit it, and as you get clarity. So I think just having like a good starting point, just working on that and answering those questions. In terms of, I guess, building this out and what it looks like in practice, I can show some stuff that I do with AI that would be useful to people. So like when you answer those questions, like you're gonna have this, you can download as a document. One thing I would also recommend is just getting clear on who your target audience is. And so what I do, I hop on market research calls with the people that fit my target audience. Basically, I offer free consultations. I don't sell them anything. I just say, I just want to ask you questions. And at the end, you can ask me anything. But basically I transcribe those calls and I get, okay, what are their desired outcomes? What are the obstacles that they have? What are the pain points they have? And I transcribe those calls. I upload those to an AI. I say, I want you to create a document that gives me the pains, desires, dreams, obstacles, limiting beliefs, FAQs, stuff like that. And so you can see a lot of the quotes here. But I basically just build out this document. And so when I upload it to AI, it's going to have all this context on who I'm trying to serve, like current obstacles, all that stuff. But basically, let's say I'll go here. I'll upload a file.
Do you still take those market research calls?
Whenever I launch a new offer, I do. But
That's really smart, man.
yeah, it gives me so much clarity on who I'm trying to serve, and it makes my offers just resonates on a much deeper level. And even for the content, it's super, super useful.
It's funny because that's actually something that we recommend, like in our program for people that are starting, is to don't take sales calls, take market research calls. There's already a whole section on it. But it's ironic because I think when you are running sales calls, people don't even think about that as content. They're so used to being like, oh, but does it work? You know, is someone buying my shit? And then they're so focused on people not buying their stuff. They're not focused on learning. Whereas market research calls are literally designed only to learn.
Yep. It's one of the most useful things you can do because, I mean, a lot of people don't want to do it because there's no instant ROI.
Yep.
And it's like, oh, it's just a waste of time. It's like, dude, you know how useful it is to have this information?
Dude, at the beginning of Aura software platform, I took like 20, 30 calls, and they were always large sales teams, like founders. The guys were doing like 7, 8 figures a year, and they were just happy to just hop on and be like, yeah, I have this issue with like my sales process, this issue with Notion, Airtable, my CRM. And I was like, okay, perfect, great. And we just took all the transcript and we just built it all out.
Yep. It's and it's something you have for life too, right? It's just so easy just to, once you have that document, just upload it to AI. It's like, okay, now your content or your offer or whatever is going to be so much more targeted now that you have that information. You're not just guessing, right?
Especially when it's a fucking platform you're building and not a like a simple service-based offer that you can swap.
Yeah.
Right. When you need to get things right, that's the reason why you need to speak to a large volume of customers and clients.
Yep. Okay.
So what's happening here?
So right now I just uploaded my document on what I think makes for good content ideas. So basically something called my gap framework. And I can go into that if you want. Actually, I probably should so people have context. So like when it comes to content, the way I think about it, there's 3 types of content. So I call this the gap framework. So you have growth, you have authority, and then you have person. So growth content is going to get people to know about you. Authority, going to get people to trust you. Personal is going to get people to like you. So know, like, and trust. And that's not to say it's like, oh, you can only create one type. It's like, I like creating content that hits multiple pillars. So maybe it's authority and personal, or personal and growth, and it's going to have like a multiplying effect. But growth content is going to be content that is top of mind for people. So if you're in the business niche, whatever, marketing, so I want to think about what are the current trends, what are the world events, what are or who are the popular figures in this industry, and how can I talk about that? Because that's going to be top of mind for people. And so it's like a Trojan horse. If you talk about something that's top of mind, it's going to get more clicks. And then if you're just dropping the sauce or like giving something really valuable or insightful, people are going to be like, oh, you know, I came for this, but I'm following this person because this is actually really useful.
You literally see that on YouTube. I came for like this video,
Yeah.
and then I stayed for like the 100 other videos.
100%. And so if I'm thinking about like what are the world events right now, you know, Christmas is coming up, or Halloween, for example. So if I'm a marketer, maybe I can break down the best Halloween ads.
You could dress up as a girl.
Yeah. It's 72 genders, right? You pick whatever one you want.
That could be good. Yeah. Dress up as a girl.
Yeah. And but like talking about like world events, like Christmas, Halloween, whatever, or like who's a popular figure in the industry. So, Alex Ramosi had that big launch for his book. Can you break down the funnel he did for that, or like how he did the webinar, stuff like that, or how he does his emails? So that's going to help you get more clicks on your stuff because people are interested in that person and he's well known. So doing stuff like that would be like growth content. So if I was to put this, it would be like trends. So like, let's say like ChatGPT or something has an update. Like how can you show, I guess something to do with marketing, popular.
I did draw that. We actually have someone I work with on this. So it's like, he's like a software development agency. And the goal is just to check the calendar to see what's the biggest updates for AI that's coming out. So he's using AI as AI development. So he literally we're looking at the next calendar for ChatGPT. So Perplexity, all these different tools. When a video comes up or when a release comes up, we're just going to create a Loom video reaction to the update.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's literally that. It's just like 10-year engineer like reacts to the new update or just explains the new update. And he just walks over like, yep, this is an advantage, X, Y, Z. Dude, if that's coming up on YouTube at the same time the releases, those videos are just going to go fucking crazy because they're looking for people who are experts at what they do and talk about it in an easy way.
100%. Yeah, I think it's really smart too. I did the one when ChatGPT launched the images, like the creation update or whatever, it was like crazy. And I showed how to prompt it, and that one just like popped off on LinkedIn. Yeah, so it's hitting the timely events, and you'll see this often from the best creators. They're always doing this and tying it back to what they talk about. So it's not just like, oh, let me break down what this thing is. Like, how can you break this down but relate it to what you talk about or your story? So like what you talk about, like how you were a developer, like software engineer, like talking about your expertise, and that's what's going to get people more invested in you. So that's like the growth content. Then you have authority content. So this is going to be like, tips, insights, and then social proof. So tips, I'm thinking of just basically like how-tos, or you can even say like steps. So tips there's no particular order of what the tips could be in. So like 5 tips or something like that. Try to make
frameworks.
Try to make it, package it so it's not generic, like 5 tips. Steps, so that would be tips, but it has to be done in a certain order to get the result. So yeah, that could be frameworks. That could be just anything like walking through how to get a result or solve a pain point. Insights, I differentiate that from tips and steps because insights, I think of stories that have a takeaway. So you could talk about, you had this issue with your business recently and blah, blah, blah. And then what was your main takeaway on how you overcame that? So it's basically presenting tips or steps in a different way with like a story.
What about here? Would you include like your perspective on it? So let me give an example. Let's just say it's your nuance. Let's just use the Hormozy example, which is he did a launch, made like 100 million in like a weekend. This is my take on this. Like, this is my view on this from someone who's built funnels or whatever. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's just like taking the concept and then the insight then is that nuanced view. And I guess that's where you're combining both of them, right?
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. Like the way I think about it is we go like this. So like, it's a crude drawing, but like you have the authority stuff here, and then you have, the personal stuff here, and then you have the growth stuff here. So you can combine like the growth and the authority. I'll highlight it so people can actually see this. So you can like combine these two, or you can combine these two, or you can combine all 3 and like have something that touches on all of those, which is ideal.
Let's say the Illuminati.
Yeah, exactly. We're just hell Satan, Just kidding. We don't F with Satan over here.
Dude, this has been a huge unlock for me, man. Fucking hell, I'm seeing this really clearly.
Yeah, see, I like to think of like, how can I simplify things in 3s or like as simple as possible, because that's what's going to enable people to actually execute on it.
If you think about your origin story too, it's actually funny. I come up with a new origin story every single year. Like I release it again just with a slightly different angle. I don't say different things in it. Like it's the same story. I'm like, I'm actually a different person when I was a kid. But I just take a different angle on it. So I'll give an example. Like a couple of years when I recorded, it was very like podcast heavy. And then this year I just didn't mention anything to do with podcasting. It was just all about the business that we built. And then just basically what I've learned about it from like a content perspective, sales perspective, and offer perspective. So it's basically the same shit, just said differently.
Yeah.
So that's the authority and personal mind.
You can talk about like how he suffered Down syndrome and like, he overcame that, you know.
He's not actually
People were saying he had Down, or someone said he had Down syndrome in the comments, and they're just riffing off that.
basically there's actually a calculation with this. Let me show you.
About
So
Down syndrome?
Just in general, right? So if you're trying to, so if this is
That's it.
where's pen?
There.
So if this is like your like revenue here, and then this is insults on the internet, the more insults you get, the more money you make. So like if someone says that you're like the worst person in the world, that's when you know you're gonna finally hit $1 million a month.
That's actually very true, because people don't hate on people doing worse than them.
Well, some people do. Some people do. But the logic is if you're not getting like at least 5 to 50 hateful comments to kill yourself a day, then you're never going to be successful.
Yeah. Just give up. We're just,
you know,
I'm not going to say it. You get banned.
So like a lot of people say that I look Down syndrome, and a lot of people say that I should kill myself on the internet. And I honestly have never had better months.
Thanks, guys.
And now back over to you.
Okay, cool. So that's the tips, steps, insights, and then we have social proof. So this is going to basically be like the testimonials, case studies. I think packaging it in a way where you could tell stories with the social proof is the best. So how can you make it, I guess, add stakes to the story? How can you make it relatable to somebody that you're trying to target so they can identify with the person? So packaging the story, that's a common theme you'll find is storytelling within all of this. So that's the authority. And then we have the personal. So personal, I like to break it down into lifestyle. I can't spell today, geez. Lifestyle, world views.
World domination.
World domination, oh yeah. And then like personal stories. So lifestyle is like behind the scenes. Can you show, I guess, what you're doing, what you're building, how you live your life, like different stuff like that, just so people connect with you. You're not just this talking head.
Like an incel.
Incel, yes. Yeah. I'm an outsell. Worldview. So what are your polarizing takes? What are your values? So that goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Like anything where you can just show how you view the world, and that allows people to connect with you. Like, oh, I also share that belief, or I didn't think of it like that. And so you're going beyond just like the business stuff. It's actually allowing people to connect with you as a person. And then you have personal stories, basically, like what are the significant events that happened to you as a kid, or, day-to-day life, stuff like that. And that's one of the best ways to connect with people because, at the end of the day, we're all human and we all have these shared experiences. Now, they may not relate to, like, for example, they may not relate to you being a fat kid growing up, but they can relate to feeling like the black sheep of their peers or their family, right?
I know what you meant, but it was way funnier to say it.
But yeah, those are like the basic pillars I think of when creating content. So that was kind of like a little side tangent there, but that is very important for understanding how I prompt AI. So basically, I upload my gap framework. So this is just me on a document explaining how this works. So I said, I uploaded a PDF with a framework on the 3 types of content to create for social media to build a personal brand that people know, like, and trust. Please read it. Once you understand, reply with the word yes. Okay, so now it understands it. And so I'm going to say, I'm going to upload my brand document that has my offer and my target audience. So all the information I was kind of talking about there. So I'm uploading info on my brand, target audience, and offer. Please read it. Once you fully understand it, generate 25 content ideas for each part of the GAP framework that would resonate with
As you pull that up, what's your thoughts on some of the content that comes back being like very generic, especially with AI? Like I know you do a lot of AI teaching for writing, but unless you go super, super deep on making it like fucking excellent, what do you think about it being very surface level? Because like I know the space that you're in, you're like teaching ghostwriters, and many people now are coming out with like, you know, ChatGPT wrapper equivalents of writing online.
Mhm.
Like, where's the danger on this, right?
Personally, I think about, okay, so we have like one of the most advanced technologies in the world that has billions or maybe trillions of data points. And then we have me, a potato user, using this thing. So where does the error most likely fall? Is it on this advanced technology, or is it on the potato IQ user? I like to think it's probably on me. So it's not a matter of the output being bad. It's like the input is probably not there. And so that's where it really helps to understand how to prompt. I also have a framework on that, but I'll save that for later. But just understanding, like, am I giving it enough context? And that's why I like creating these documents, because then it has a lot more context to go off of rather than just, generate content.
That's my fear with these platforms though, right? That like, you know, if you're signing up to these fucking writing platforms, my fear is just that it's a stop learning effect, right? I'm going to outsource my thinking to this thing because it's meant to fill in the gaps.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when you hire someone, right? It's like you do need to do a lot of coaching with someone because they're not going to be ready. And it has to be these small details. And I've noticed that a lot with AI sales setting, is that people have like quite literally turned off their brain and just said, okay, this is a solution.
Yeah.
And I mean like ChatGPT here, DMs here, they're just taking that as the answer. That's just my only caveat with this. Like someone like you who's like somewhat semi-rational will be like, all right, he'd have a bit of observation and hopefully myself. But I think that's the only time I look at this where I'm like, fuck, like is this problematic to someone who's a potato?
Yeah.
An extra potato.
100%. And that's like, I like to think of it, like you're an orchestra conductor. So you may not be like playing each instrument individually, but you're like harmonizing it all together to create this result. But yeah, like there's people that they outsource their thinking to AI instead of using it to assist their thinking. And that, you're going to screw yourself over that way, because you're not going to know what makes for a good or bad output, right? So if I don't understand what makes for good writing or for a good offer or for whatever, it doesn't matter what it outputs, because you're going to be lost. And so that's why it's very important that you don't just outsource everything to AI. You're just using it to assist. And that doesn't mean like you stop learning. In fact, you should double down on it, because your outputs are going to be so much faster and so much better. But yeah, it's a huge problem. Is like people are just a potato and they just don't understand like what the hell they're actually using. It's
just called mashed potato.
Yeah, mashed potato. You want to be a baked potato, not a mash. When I put this in, it's like, okay, so it understands what growth content is. It understands my creative brief. And so it can create personalized answers based on the information I gave it. Now, obviously, you're not going to use every single idea, but it's good to get the ideas flowing. And, if you want to double down on something like, I want more content like this, or give me a more authority content, or I'm trying to do this result, create ideas based off this, it's going to be more targeted.
Awesome, man.
Yeah. And then you have the authority content. So basically like how to turn your first client into your best sales rep, or how my student went from 0 to 10K a month in 90 days.
So my question is, did you think of that idea, or is that what you came back with? Is that something you had about turning your client into a sales rep?
So basically I uploaded a whole lesson I had on the GAP framework. And so, this basically created all these different angles. So it took the foundations of what we went over here, and then it generated ideas based on that. But yeah, basically it came up with all of these.
Sick, man. That was really good. What I want to ask you is, what's your take on like volume with content? So watching a Hormozy video recently, and he was talking about like the difference between a 1 million year business and like a 100 million year business, which was him. And the difference was most people post 365 times a year, once a day, and he was posting 35,000 times a year. And then as a result, it was almost like a linear relationship. How not everyone has a 400K a month team, but I just thought it was an interesting like example of when you actually scale up the volume of content, there is like somewhat a linear return.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because you actually have lower volume than a lot of people when it comes to like YouTube and comes to Instagram. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
Yes, I actually liked what Hormozy said. I forget when he said it, but he was basically saying like at the start you need volume, and then you want to create quality, and then you want quality and volume.
Yeah.
But I think like one thing people don't consider or like forget is like Hormozy has a whole team creating content for him. Like he has, guarantee he has a ghostwriter, he has editors, like all these like people churning out content for him. And so like his level of volume is just not realistic for, not even like half his level of volume is not realistic for a lot of people. Because if you're creating more content, usually it waters down the quality of it. Unless you have, again, like a team or you're
And the
outsourcing.
messaging, right?
Exactly.
It's not rare anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So I like, yeah, at the start, like you need a bit more volume, but I don't think you need to like post 3 times a day or like anything crazy. It's like one thing I've noticed, especially with YouTube, is the videos I spent more time on, like let's say I spent 5 times the amount of time on one video, that can have like a 20x in the performance than if I was just doing a video once a week.
And Mr. Beast also did the exact same thing.
Exactly. And that's where I got it from, actually.
Yeah.
I heard that. I'm like, oh, let me try that. And it's like, yeah, that's so true. Now, I think a lot of people can, there's like a medium, a happy medium where it's like you might spend so much time on this one thing, but you don't understand what makes for good content yet. So you just waste all this time on this thing where you could have been creating content, and you find the patterns over time and you're like, oh, okay, this works. So yeah, there's something you said about, yeah, doing volume, but also doubling down on what works and making quality. Because it's also like the brand association thing too. It's like if you constantly pump out content, it's not high quality. It's that people associate you with shitty content. And when they see you next time, they're like, oh, I didn't like his last video or last 5 videos. Like it's just a waste of time. They're scroll past. So there's something to be said about volume, but also the quality. It's very important you don't sacrifice that.
It's interesting, right? Because it's like if you look at the mean curve, right? It's like in the beginning, the guys down here are like just post good content, or just post content and get leads, and the guys down here are just post content and get leads. And then the guys in the middle then are the guys with like 14 different AI writing tools, and getting us so complicated and just convoluting everything.
Yeah.
So it goes back to almost the same message, which is like make the content better, make the content better. And then in between that, then we can kind of like get rid of the shit you don't need. I think that's interesting because like a big thing about going from, let's say you get out of the fight or flight mode with your business and you know you're getting leads. You've started probably to do a bunch of other stuff that you just can stop doing.
Yeah.
So I guess for you, when you slow down YouTube volume, you didn't double down, but you really focused in on Twitter because that was just always your bread and butter, right? So it's like you got rid of the shit that didn't really work and just focus in on what you needed to do.
Yeah, I find I'll use Twitter as a validating mechanism. So for like a short form post, like a short tweet does well, it's like, okay, there's something here with the idea. Let me expand upon that into a LinkedIn post, or let me expand upon that into a newsletter. And then it like gradually escalates up to a YouTube video. So that's a really good tool. Even, if you're more on Instagram, like sharing stories, maybe you're talking and you get more reactions on a story than something that you normally post. It's like there's something there, and looking at that, it's like, okay, what's the main idea upon this, and how can I expand upon this, maybe in a short form reel or something else.
How do you reflect on the content? Because it sounds like you spend quite a bit of time going back and looking at things that are working or not working.
Well, the main thing, I don't spend too much time, actually. I just look at what's my baseline. So I'll like scroll my timeline and I'll say, okay, I'm averaging like 200 likes here, or like maybe 100 likes here. And if something gets 500 likes, I'm like, oh, there's something here. Like, what am I talking about in this post that I don't normally talk about? Or is it the format? So I think about content, there's like 2 things. So there's the structure and the formatting of it, and then there's the idea behind it. So maybe I have a format where it's like a listicle
Mm.
and it's like all very like organized and sexy looking and it's just aesthetically pleasing and I could have a mediocre idea, but the format or the structure really carries it. Or I could have the
Mhm.
idea where it's just like me just shooting an idea into the ether, but it really resonates with people and just like pops off. So like I talk about being a jack nerd, it's like that always pops because it's a big idea and it's like something that's different than what's being said normally.
Yeah, man, that's really cool. And then the video context, like the formats can be like this, more masterclass, can be more like a podcast, could be street, could be talking head, could be
Yeah.
like raw. So that's interesting. It's like looking at the format and just stripping that out first. Which format do you like doing, number one, especially if it's like video, and then looking at the ideas within the video and can we almost rinse and repeat them from there?
Yeah, 100%.
Hmm.
It's like, yeah, like the packaging is just as important as the what's actually in it. So, you know, you could do just
Mm.
a raw podcast and it might have amazing information, but it could be boring, it's not unique or whatever. But you add an iPad with visuals in it
Yeah.
and two sexy guys that have, you know, very good senses of humor and very funny.
High
And,
testosterone.
and yeah, and 6'5" and definitely not short.
You know, on my Tinder profile, I thought I was like 6 foot.
Did you actually?
Yeah, and then it was,
That's so fucked up.
and it wasn't 6 foot. It was like I thought I was like 5'8", 5'8 and a half.
Well, you almost got to add like an inch or two
Yeah.
because so many people are lying
Yeah.
about their height. So if you
It's
don't
It's
lie,
inflation.
yeah, it's literally inflation.
Height inflation.
Yeah,
Everything rises.
yeah.
up.
So if you say you're 5'8", she assumes you're 5'6".
And you're wearing Skechers, which are gay, by the way.
Dude,
but
fuck you, man. Skechers are sick.
But if you think about the Sketcher foam, that like adds an extra inch. So there's like the gay foam, and then there's you, and there's the Tinder profile on top. So it's like that's an important piece with the content, right? Is you got to make sure you got to jazz it up.
Yeah. Add some pizzazz, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, just add a little sprinkle of autism.
I don't know how I got to this point.
You should
but
see my Crocs, dude. I got Crocs recently too.
You're really nerdy, bro.
Dude, yeah. I'm about life. See, it's just all part of the personal brand. You know?
Yeah, exactly. And you're jacked as well, which is the main thing. But where do we go from here? It's like from the volume of content.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, what I wanted to ask you was the sales side. Right. So you work with a lot of beginners,
Yes.
which I was very surprised to hear that. I didn't realize that there were a lot of them were like complete noobs,
Oh yeah.
like actual noobs. How do you get clients
Mhm.
when you have a small audience?
Yeah, so that's the thing. It's like so the people I talk to or help, sorry, they're becoming ghostwriters. And so one thing I tell them is you don't want to be a fat personal trainer where you can't walk the walk. Like if you're selling ghostwriting services and I'll grow you by 1,000 followers a month and you only have 200 followers, like no one can take
Yeah.
you seriously, right?
Yeah.
So the first thing I tell them is like, we just need to start getting you to create content and actually growing your following. It's going to increase your perceived authority and make you more comfortable when you land clients. But basically, I'm just like running them through like create these types of content, talk about your story, all this stuff. Pick, because a lot of people are like 9-to-5ers. So I'm like, pick a topic you're interested in, learn from people ahead of you, apply what you learn, and then teach people a few steps behind you. And you're going to grow your audience that way. Because if you think about it at the end of the day, people are selfish. Like, I don't care if you like ice cream and you going on long walks on the beach. It's like, I care how you can benefit me, at least at the start. And so if you're teaching something I'm interested in, or you're helping me solve problems or get to a desired outcome, I'm going to probably follow you if the content's good because it's in my best interest. And then over time, if that person's telling stories and sharing their personality, I'm probably going to connect with them and they can tweet about whatever. And I'll be like, oh, that's funny, or that's cool, or I'm more interested because I'm invested in the person. But at the start, you need to understand, like, why should someone care? Why would someone be invested in the content, or why would they want to click on my profile? And so like starting out, what's your value proposition to people, and start giving value. But like, how can you help people solve small problems or get to desired outcomes with your content? Like have it as a bridge.
It's kind of like a conundrum you have though, right? It's like you're teaching people ghostwriting who don't have a brand. So they're in a bit of a conundrum in the beginning until they like break out.
Yeah.
So how do they get clients?
So basically, they start creating content about something they're interested in. That grows their account. Once they have like 1,000 followers or they're growing consistently, that's when it's like, okay, let's start talking about the things you've accomplished. So here's how I grew to 1,000 followers, or here's how my one post got 100 likes, or whatever. It's like basically just showing, hey, I've done the thing that you want to do, or I've solved this problem. Here's how I did it. And, you know, since business owners, they see this content and they're like, oh, that makes sense, or that's useful. Maybe they even try it and they get some results or whatever. That just shows them like, oh, you know what you're talking about. And a lot of these business owners, even if they do it for like a week or a month, they're not going to stick with it because they're busy. They got shit to do and they just don't want to do it. They'd rather pay somebody else. And so who are they going to think of when they need help with this? Oh, the person that's actually showing what they've done and what they've accomplished. So I get them to create content. Once they grow their account to a decent size, that's when they start creating more of the authority content and how they did that. And then they have CTAs at the end of those calling out, if you're this person, like in whatever niche, and want X result, DM me or click on my website or whatever CTA. And then like start conversations with people that are engaging with their content, because those are going to be the warmest ones, right?
100%.
So if they already know you to some degree, there's so much more trust than reaching out to a stranger.
Dude, it's so funny you said that, because I think like the biggest issue in like the content creator world is like you have content over here and you have the sales process here. And all content creators are too proud to send a DM, and then all business owners are too arrogant to create content. So it's like we're in this like massive basically vortex whereby all the content creators are broke, and then all the business owners are actually also broke, man, because they're not creating content. So my logic is like, if you're creating like any sort of post in here, and then if you have a DM structure here, if you just hit people who like and comment, you will get leads. And then if you just do that repeatedly, so like and comment, day 2, and then these DM conversations, they are individual sales pages. So you like, I speak to you on January 1st, and we have a miniature engagement. It's semi-decent. And I just go back to doing this. And then I come back here on February 1st. The guy looks up. He's like, who's that guy? Oh, okay, cool. And he keeps the conversation going. And that's just what the game is. It's just like this massive vortex of going in circles. But why don't people do this, right? That's the whole point, is that I've been trying to show people this for fucking years. And they're like, wait, what? I'm like, because I think I gotta be careful how I say this. The big accounts, what they kind of created was, it's kind of like superiority, which is like you just grow your account and people come to you. And then it was just really well known that you just create really good content and people come to you. And that's true. But I feel like the people that hit a landing page and book a call organically is going significantly down. Do you get me? Because the issue is that what I found is that the content is not personalized to you. But if I like was looking at your scenario and in DM, I was like, okay, great, you're interested in like losing body fat or whatever, but this is actually specifically what you need to do. They're like, oh, he's thinking of me in this context. And I just found that to just be so much more applicable, because ideally that's what a sales call is anyway. It's pain, problem, which is what content is. Okay, identifying what it is, and then it's process, and then price.
Ooh, 4 Ps.
Because this is personalized.
Yeah.
And I think this is what's ironic here is, if you do this from organic, which is what we do, or you do it from paid, it's the same shit. So for organic, it's all 1 call, and for paid, it's 2 calls. Because it's the same shit. In the call, we'll look at, or like in the process or in the DM or whatever it is, we're just identifying, is there a pain? Can I actually help this person? Do they have a problem, and is it an aggravated problem? If they know you from organic, they're going to be like, look, Dakota, I've been following you for so long. Let's discuss the process too. And if it's paid, it would be like, let's spend the first 45 minutes talking about the problem, the next 45 minutes mapping a personalized solution to process to your problem.
Yeah.
It's always the same shit, man.
Yeah.
But I just don't understand why people don't do it.
I think it's, well, a lot of it, there's no immediate feedback or like positive feedback. So I think it's like they might try it and it's like, oh, there's no, like, I posted once, like I didn't get leads, like this doesn't work,
or had a conversation, but there's like a saying in B2B, which is like every sale is made up of like 13 micro yeses. So it's like every sale has a series of micro yeses. It's not so the yes people think is like money in the bank, which is or like the return or the feedback loop or whatever. But dude, if you create a content and you connect it with someone on LinkedIn, let's say, and they accepted the connection request, well, that's a win, right?
Yeah.
And then if you send them a message and they responded, that's a win. And then if you leave them cook and you go back and you respond, you go back and create more content, that's also a win.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm very curious about like your process for this, because you just have a tough case with helping ghostwriters, right? It's just like a tough use case. Whereas like for me, it's like it's a little bit easier because if someone's a fitness instructor and they're creating content, well, they're not judged on how big their content is. They're judged on their quality of their information and their story.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think a big hurdle, especially for like beginners, is like you're not just learning sales or you're not just learning content. You're like learning all of this, and it's completely new. So you gotta like really break it down in really simple terms, and it's definitely a challenge for a lot of people because it's just like all this new information, and it can get overwhelming. So that's why we just start with, okay, let's just teach you content, very simple terms. Here's how to do it, and just focus on growing your account first. Okay, now you understand that. Now let's talk about, creating lead generation content or doing the sales call or doing the DMs. I'm definitely not the strongest at DMs. I get Taylor, my partner, to do that stuff. But
so would you? That's interesting. Would you focus then from lead generation on the lead magnets and so on? Because like your content it's not, but it's like almost creator first, whereby it's really heavy on marketing and light on sales, which is fine. Like there's nothing wrong with that if you can crack it.
Yeah.
But I just mean like the percentage of people that can crack that at a high level is fucking so small, man.
Yeah.
Which is why there's a small percentage of big accounts that make money. But would you say you're much more focused on like cracking the content and cracking the lead magnet as a conversion mechanism into when you're running launches then or whatever?
Yeah. So one thing we do that what we started doing was like running people through a free course. So like all of the organic would go to that lead magnet on free course on like ghostwriting, because one thing we have with ghostwriting is people don't know what the hell it is. And so we have to educate them on what ghostwriting is, basically show them what's possible with it, all of that. And so we have that, and then it's basically a community, and then that gives us the opportunity to have a setter talk to them. We have call to actions.
You have a community there.
Yeah. So it's connected to my paid community, but they can't see any of the paid stuff. So it's like sectioned off. So we can mark them, so we can see where did they come from. Basically, when they join, they get automated DMs from the setter. In the content, we have CTAs. Hey, message this person.
What platform is this on?
It's called Heartbeat. No one knows what it is. Dude,
You explained this to me before. It's just basically like a shit version of school.
It's not a shit version of school. It's a superior version of school.
So you go from here into a call?
Yeah, basically I book a call. And then what we did recently was the content to webinar to call. Before that, it was like, before the lead magnet, it was content VSL to call. So we've done a bunch of different stuff.
And that's all organic?
Yeah, all organic.
Do you find that to have a tough like consistency?
Yeah, 100%. Especially like the past year, because it's just gotten so much, like so many more info people, like so many more businesses, so much more content. So it's definitely not as great as it used to be. So that's why we're adding in the paid ads going forward. But yeah, it's like organic's not reliable because one algorithm change and everything's thrown off, right? And so you're really increasing your risk if you're just reliant on organic. And I think it's kind of back to the content and the sales side. It's like it's content and ads, or like, it's not one or the other. It's like, how can you do both? Because the content will do the nurturing and the ads can get more people in front of your profile. And then it's like they work together synergistically. It's not just one or the other.
The way that I think about this is, so it's funny, if you go deeper into ads, it's basically organic. It's just, they're just coming in from a different way. It's the same concept.
Yeah.
So the way I think about this is, you have hot people here, and not just hot people, but I just mean the hot people, the hot leads. Then you have warm, and then you have cold. Okay, so I'm just going to explain the concept, and then we look at it through the lens of whether it's organic or paid. The whole goal is to strike while the iron's hot with these people, get them booked in, get them to buy. The whole goal of warm is to move them into hot when the time is right, and the whole goal of cold is to get them into a warm state. And the whole goal of outside of this is to get as many people in the cold as possible. How is that any different than paid and organic? It's the same thing.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
just you create content that increases the awareness. You get a post that has 500 likes versus 100 likes. You get more people into this sphere. You're like, oh, I like this guy.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll take the next step. Oh, I like this guy. Maybe I'll come into this zone when he's running a webinar. So it's the same shit, man.
Yeah.
It's just how they got there was slightly different. And I know this to be true because I think I told you the story with Cardinal Mason, where I had a podcast with him and he's making like 300K a month. And then they got to like $1 million a month in 6 months. And he was like, man, the leads from cold are actually better because it's more intent. The warm leads back in the day from organic, we're like, oh, we were friends on TikTok, you know?
Yeah.
And he was like, well, what? Whereas he just set up all of his content to help people get into freelance copywriting. And he just had a ton of people in cold, like I mean, like hundreds of thousands of people. And they would just focus on pushing them up, pushing them up, pushing them up. And he was like, yeah, man, it's 100 times better than organic.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a bit of a mindset reframe, because when you're an organic whore for so many years, you kind of like, oh, I don't need it. I'm better than it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a wrong mindset to have.
Right.
You know, it's kind of like getting into bodybuilding and being like, I don't need to do cardio. And it's like, well, you could die if you don't do it. You know, it's like, I'm just going to go to the gym and do this. It's like, yeah, sure, okay, but you're just thinking of it the wrong way.
Yeah, especially like I was doing a launch like 2 years ago, and literally 2 days before the launch, my Instagram got banned.
I remember that.
Yeah, and if that was my only platform, I would have been effed, right? And so if I didn't have LinkedIn and Twitter and whatever, yeah, it would have been horrible. And then thankfully I got it unbanned, but that was like a few days after the launch, and it really like threw a wrench in things. And like I couldn't imagine if you're just relying on one platform and
one channel.
Yeah, like you're fucked.
Crazy, man. Anything around this instead as well you want to add? Like, so when your clients are getting clients, so like how you would recommend them doing that sort of
One thing I think works really well for beginners especially is doing free work. Because one, if you're a beginner and you haven't had clients before, you're gonna have a higher level of pressure on you to get results if you have someone paying you like $3K a month or something from the get-go. And it's like, it's not a good feeling because you're like, oh shit, what if I don't get results? And so like, starting with free work is a great way to not only get experience and build your confidence, but also you get a case study, get a testimonial potentially, and then leverage that in your content to actually get paid clients. So I think offering free work is a great way to start. So you could write 1 to 7 posts for somebody, just give it to them for free. And that can open up the conversation to getting on a strategy call. It's like, okay, so I got these posts for you. Here I can walk you through of how to actually implement this or a strategy. And you just get them on basically like a sales call pretty much. And it gives you more reps to practice your sales skills. Or if they do post the content, it gets good results, then it opens up the opportunity to land them as a client. Yep. So for example, I'm only talking about this because Rob's talked about this publicly, but I ghost wrote for Rob Lipsit, but the way I landed him as a client was I just said, hey, I wrote you like X amount of posts. You can have them completely for free. My goal is to land you as a client, but I want you to, try them out first. He used the tweets, got really good results, and that got me on, that opened up the opportunity to get on a sales call with him and then, work with him. So
I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah. No, it's pretty sick. So yeah. And then I did the same with Dan Coe. Like he was technically my first client because I wrote for him for free, got really good results. I got a testimonial from him, used that on my landing page. And even though I wrote for him for free, that resulted in like hundreds of thousands of dollars in leads because people saw like, oh shit, he got this result for Dan. This was before he was big, but
he was still pretty big back then, man.
Yeah, I guess he had like 50K followers. Yeah,
still maybe back then. It's funny. My copywriter, this woman that I met at an event, like I was speaking at an event, I was saying I was looking for a copywriter, and she stayed up all night, wrote me a letter that was 12 pages long. It was like a personal letter I hired her even though I had hired someone else at the time. I was like, ah, fuck it, I'll bring you in. She wrote a bunch of copy for me. It was very valuable. She updated some of the call funnels, the text and call funnels and so on. And then I was like, look, we don't have capacity. We don't need basically an extra pair of hands anymore. And what I did was I paid her and then recommended her to all of my high-end clients.
Mm.
So I just put her contact details into a group of like 50 people that are all making 100K plus more a month. And she was like, yep. I was like, here's the person. Just contact her if you need some stuff. So that opens up her entire floodgates. If she wanted to do the work for free, but I wasn't going to give it to her for free, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's the value of it.
Yeah.
Good person, kind heart, wanted to help. I hired her because she wanted to help. She did great work. And then I recommended her to other people.
Mm-hmm.
Versus, I think I deserve 5K a month and you got to pay up front for a year.
Yeah.
It's just like you are entitled.
Yeah, 100%.
And because you're reading someone else who is entitled,
Yeah.
telling you to do that.
Yep.
And it's different stages of business. As you said at the very beginning of this conversation, like don't follow someone else's just verbatim way to create content or follow their plan, because if they're at 100,000 followers, their ideas are going to be fucking vastly different than yours.
Yeah.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah, they're just like, oh, just post value, bro. It's like, dude, you have 100,000 followers. It's totally different than if you're at 100. It's like what got you there is not what's going to get someone to a different spot.
Yeah, 100%.
Recognizing that.
Yeah, the other thing as well on this is just how much grunt work that needs to be done for people in the beginning that it gets overshadowed, right?
Yeah.
Because everyone is selling like new, easy, novel, and so on. Like I recommend everyone to do 50 DMs and 50 follow-ups a day, because you're just going to increase your surface area of luck. At the end of the month, you're just talking to thousands of people, and this is you have fucking a tiny audience.
Yeah.
Good offer, you're good at what you do, you're experienced at what you do, but you need to do a bit more grunt work. Are you going to need to do that forever? No. But in the beginning, you definitely need to do stuff, right?
Yeah, 100%. It's like, that's why I was talking about this recently on a call, but like the thing that separates people that are successful and not successful is they have like a strong why. So especially as a beginner, like a lot of people are just really comfortable with their job. Like they're not happy, but they're like, it's like whatever. But it's like, oh, I want to make 10K a month and do all this stuff. But they don't really have a reason why. Like, oh, I try to make 10K a month just because. And they don't have the emotion connected to it.
Yeah.
And so when challenges arise, it's so easy for them to fall back on what's comfortable and just go back to doing the same old shit, opposed to the people that have a strong reason why and emotionally feel invested in this. Those are the people that succeed. So for example, like I worked a ton of jobs before I got into online business, and I hated working for other people. I absolutely hated it. I couldn't stand the thought of actually working a job for 40 years and hoping to get a raise and like being surrounded by miserable people. And that thought just drove me to do the uncomfortable stuff, like post the cringe content, get on the awkward sales calls, do all that. But a lot of people, they don't understand why they're doing shit. And then so they place their comfort, they prioritize that over whatever challenge comes up.
Yeah, people would prefer to take a guaranteed life of mediocrity than a chance of like breaking free from their current existence.
Oh, that's a tweet right there.
You can steal it. It all breaks down to this though. When they're building something new or doing something new, like anything, so building a ghostwriting business, building an online business, whatever, do they know what to do? Because initially you probably don't know anything. Do they know when they should be doing it? So when should they be posting? When should it be? The way I think about this is like client acquisition in the morning, content and sales calls, delivery in the evening. Do they know how to do it? More than likely not. And again, do they know why? Like what's the underlying driver to do this? This is like the non-negotiables. If you looked at someone like a client or someone coming in like a prospect, I'm always thinking through this lens. Why don't they have the result that they want? Whether that's 10K a month, 100K a month, it's always this frame. And lastly, then are they motivated to do it? Because if they have all this checked and they're not doing it here, then they're never gonna be successful.
Yeah, don't be a pussy.
But genuinely though, like I've seen people that are fucking super dialed in and have great teaching and great coaching, team members, like people that are like internal to companies as well as external business owners. But if they don't have that actual drive to do it, we can't help you, right? There's nothing I can do. And I know many people that fall into that category.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because the smartest people in the world are not the richest. They're just not. And they have the what, the when, the why. Probably don't have the why. They have the what, the when, the how. They probably don't have the why because they're probably thinking of something else. Because if it was all based on intelligence, the money would go to the most intelligent people, but the money goes to people that are just autistically going to bang their head off the wall and they're going to make it work.
Yeah, your balls will get you farther in life than your brains.
Quite literally, man.
Yeah.
Quite literally. Man, big thank you. This is fucking sick. Really good. Super, super valuable, super helpful. If there's any of those documents too as well that you want to share as well,
Yeah.
that'd be super valuable.
Yeah, I'll give it to you.